Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, however you want to live your life. It's Coach Baird coming to you live from the Baird Cave. Well, semi-live. I got a new toy. We're trying it out. You're listening to the Baird Necessities. This is episode number 11. Thanks again to last week's guest, Steve Mickness, for coming into the Baird Cave. And thank you for all who've listened so far to my past episodes. If you haven't yet, you can catch up on your own time. You can find me on iTunes, Spotify, and Podbean. And guess what? I've added myself to YouTube. That's right, I've got a YouTube channel, the Baird Necessities. Check it out. I'm posted there too, so no live video, thank goodness. All audio, so you don't have to see my ugly face. Got a face for radio, as they say. Please follow me on Twitter at TheBairdNEC or send me an email at TheBairdNEC@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. Now, moving on to my next guest. This is a special one. I've known this guy for a long time. He graduated from Delton Kellogg High School in 1998. During high school, he lettered in football, wrestling, and baseball. You can add band and choir to that one too, just to round things out. As a senior, he was named captain of the baseball team by the coaching staff. After high school, he received his associate's degree from Kellogg Community College, and he is currently working on his bachelor's degree at Davenport University. He's currently in his 12th year as assistant baseball coach at Gull Lake High School, and he currently hosts his own podcast, The Baird Necessities. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, LinkedIn, all those things. That's right. Joining me in the Baird Cave this week, none other than Jack Baird. Hey, Jack. How's it going?
Not too bad. I'm a huge fan, by the way. I've listened to all your current episodes. I like to keep up on all of those fun things. You've done a very good job. Thank you for keeping us informed with all the local talent that's out there right now. So keep them coming.
Starting off, Jack is the son of Jack and Ruth Ann Baird. So that makes you the third, right?
Yeah, I'm the third, which is cool. Not very many people can say that these days. You have all those people who have the weird names. Like, who names their kid Apple? Or what else is there? Ferrari? Whatever car that's hot right now. You know, people just get away and try to do whatever they can to be different. So nice to have something that I'm named after my grandpa and my dad, so kind of keep it in the family.
Explain Jackson for me.
So being the third meant there was 3 Jacks in the house at certain points of the year, and that could be confusing. So I got lucky and they named me Jackson. Now my dad, not so much. He was blessed with the name Jackie. So grandpa was Jack, obviously. He was the first one. Dad was Jackie. I don't know if they planned on going for a third one and just went with Jackson, which I'm happy they did, and I've been blessed with a good name. It's become a lot more popular thanks to Sons of Anarchy, and I spell it the right way, Jackson, not Jaxson. I don't know who does that, but, you know, I like to be normal and just spell it the right way.
Now, do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have an older brother and an older sister. Brian is the oldest, followed by Sean. And then you got me. I'm the baby. And if you ask them, they say that I actually act like the essential baby, but I don't see it. I'm just a normal kid like everybody else. You know, I don't try to get my way all the time. I'm not narcissistic. Well, my therapist says I am, but, you know, I guess I am the typical baby. But, you know, growing up with them, it was really nice. Brian and I shared a room. Sean had her own room, so got to spend a lot of quality time with my brother. He was involved in an auto accident just after graduating high school, which put him in a back brace. So we spent a lot of times staying up watching Quantum Leap and Murphy Brown, which in turn is an interesting combination to follow those back to back, but, you know, we had fun. And then when he moved out, Sean and I got a little bit closer together too. And then she moved out real early, so they were all out of the house before I even graduated high school. So I decided I'd be nice to my parents and not move out of the house until I was 30 years old. So I can thank my wife Jennifer for getting me out of the house when she did. So,
what was it like being the baby? You mentioned you were the baby. What was it like?
It wasn't too bad. You know, you had an older brother to protect you. You had an older sister to protect you when Brian wasn't around. So overall, there's an opportunity to grow and learn from them. So I figured my parents made the mistakes on them, and then finally, by the time they got to me, they were like, okay, just do whatever you wanted to. And it did. You know, I did some stupid things as a kid, so it showed. Mom and Dad worked during the day, so in the summertime, it was the three of us all together, all by ourselves, and we had some neighbor kids around a lot. So our house usually had a ton of people in it, so not necessarily a good thing to have a lot of people in the same house, but it was pretty interesting. And my brother's friends would like to get my sister and I going. And, we did. We fought a little bit, as brother and sisters would. We had one time, though, it went a little bit too far, and Sean was picking on me, and they were picking on her to pick on me, and they made things worse. And I decided I didn't want to have any more of it, and I punched her in the face. Not really proud of that moment, but ever since then, she stopped messing with me like that. She quit fighting me. She quit pushing me. My brother got in trouble. His friends got in trouble. I got in trouble, which of course I should have. You don't hit a woman or a girl. It doesn't matter what the situation is. So, but yeah, it was an interesting. It was interesting growing up with those two. We got to go to Florida a lot with our parents and spend a lot of quality time down there. Brian, not so much. He found MTV and just went with that. Sean and I would go to the beach and dig up sand dollars with my dad and just have a little fun, make fun of my mom as much as we could, go to the Red Barn down in Florida. So that was a good time.
Now, did you guys have any similar interests?
Yes and no. I'd like to believe I'm the only athlete out of the group. My brother did play football up until like 8th grade, but there was an issue with the coach that he didn't really feel like he was going to go any farther than that, so he focused more on band, and he became a drummer and grew his hair out, which was pretty interesting because in essence it made all the girls think he was cute. So I guess that's one of the similarities that we had, is that all the girls thought we were cute. I'm just kidding. No, they always thought he was cute. He ended up actually working in the middle school after he graduated high school, and so I had some of the younger girls come up to me and ask me, "Why aren't you as cute as your brother is?" I said, "Well, I don't know. That's a good question. I didn't really have an answer to that. It kind of hurt a little bit, but the wound is still a little raw on that one." But yeah, so Brian went with band, and my sister went with choir. She was the quiet one, more introverted than I was. Brian and I both very extroverted, so we liked attention, and we got it. We were both, I thought, very funny, so we got that personality from my mom. Sean got the brains from my dad and got the medical background from my dad, so which is neat. I got mostly, I'd say, the blue collar attitude from my dad and the hard work. So learning to support your family via the factory life. So it wasn't too bad. One thing that Brian and I did share, we were both drummers. He actually bought my first drum set for me, which was kind of neat. And he set me up with a nice little drum kit and kind of showed me some things and taught me how to play the drums. So actually, his senior year, I got to march with him in band, which is weird because I was in middle school. I don't know how that came about. I just think they needed some extra people, and I was big enough to lug around one of those big old huge bass drums. So we had fun. We got our pictures together. Had a good time. I, of course, looked like a dork, and he looked great with his amazing hair. I guess karma did come around. He is now currently bald. He's now living down in South Carolina with Kelly. They have a daughter together named Ariana, who is about ready to graduate high school. I am officially old, so to see her graduate is crazy. I remember driving down there with my parents and meeting her for the first time, getting a chance to hold her. I looked huge back then, but getting to hold her was amazing. And then, of course, she's living in Battle Creek, and she's got a daughter of her own. She is Samantha, and she is going to Michigan State University right now, which is cool. Go Green. So, yeah, we did have have some similar interests. Sean and I both sang in the choir, so we like to sing, and we like to do the karaoke every once in a while. Yes, I do karaoke, but yeah, it was similar interests. That's pretty much it. Again, like I said, I'm mostly the athlete in the family, which is kind of weird. My dad played in the band. He played saxophone in the band, so I think that's where we get our musical background from. And then my mom, of course, she's a comedian, so if she had the chance to tell a joke, she would. Funny story, she would always Gary Field would come down and eat at Shrinks, and every time he came down, my mom thought she'd be funny and tell him a joke. Of course, he was nice enough to listen, but I think he might have stolen some of her jokes. Just kidding. But yeah, again, we grew up together, brothers, sisters, did the normal things that we did the normal things that brothers, sisters did. We fought, but we're in a good place right now. We had a little bit of a setback. 2014, we lost our dad, and then in 2015 we lost mom, almost a year apart. So it's been rough having to see him that way, but getting to see Brian come up with Ariana was nice, and seeing Kelly and again Ariana coming up, it was nice to see them. So hate to see him that way, but hopefully we get to travel down there and get to see Ariana graduate soon. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, dealing with mom and dad's death, it's still pretty rough, but you got to keep moving forward.
Now you're married, correct?
Yep, I am married. I've got a beautiful wife, Jennifer. We've known each other for almost 9 years. We got married in 2010. That'd be almost 10 years. Wow, don't tell her I said that. Yeah, we started dating thanks to a buddy of mine. We were actually in a wedding together and just started talking. My joke was I was going to go 0 for 4 with the bridesmaids. I had previously asked out her best friend, which I got shot down instantly. Lucky enough, she was nice enough to listen to my sob story, and finally she's like, you know what? You keep talking all this smack about going 0 for 4. Why don't you ask me out? And you know what? I did, and almost didn't go out because I was afraid we were going to ruin our friendship. But the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we went and saw probably one of the worst movies ever. And I think if that movie was any good, things might have been different. But nope, it was not. We went and saw Twilight. Yes, Twilight. I picked her up from Hastings, and we went to the Hastings 4. So our choices weren't that great. So coming up, we are going to be celebrating our 9th wedding anniversary. We got married in August. Luckily enough, we got to get married on Gull Lake High School's baseball field, which was awesome because it was free, and because, well, it was awesome. We got married at home plate, so we had fun. The whole family was there. We had a lot of bridesmaids and groomsmen. It was nice to have it was good to have a lot of people out there. I remember everybody got a little bit sunburnt, but overall it was pretty good. Then we honeymooned in Orlando, went to Universal, spent 2 days down there, and then went to SeaWorld, got to catch a Lakeland Flying Tigers game. Planned way too much. Didn't give us enough chance to just relax and be married. So, but it was a good trip. I'd definitely do it again. Can't wait to see what happens on our 10th anniversary. Maybe I'll be rich and famous by then, and the Baird Necessities will have its own little vacation spot.
Now, do you have any children?
Yep, we do have a daughter. She is Jane. I recently did a special on Purple Day for her back in March. Her name is Jane Annabelle. She has a rare genetic disease called PCH19. It's basically female epilepsy, so she suffers from seizures from now and then. But, we've got it under control, and we're in a good spot right now. So hopefully, God willing, that we keep moving forward and there's no regression. So, again, she's awesome to be around. I love her to death. She does some of the craziest things. She loves swinging. She loves car rides. She loves her iPads. She loves Doritos. Not to give out a spot. Nice nice to give a little shout out to Doritos. She loves both the Cool Ranch and nacho cheese. Funny story with her today. She actually she picked up a chip, and she picked up her shirt, put the chip on her belly button, and smashed it with her hand. And the first thing I thought when Jennifer told me she said that she did that, I said, "Did you tell her that's not the way it gets into your belly?" But again, I like to think I'm a little bit more funnier than I am. So with that said, moving right along. Yep, she is 7 years old, almost 8, and looking forward to see what her future might bring. So it should be interesting.
Now going back, when did you start playing sports?
I think, as a neighborhood, we always played sports together. I remember we played basketball, baseball. There was a little league field right up the road that we got a chance to play on a lot. So, anytime during the summer we had time, we'd be out playing sports. There was a good group of kids around me, so there was enough, where we could play pickup basketball. We could play a little bit of baseball, football if we wanted to, but, mostly, we played basketball, swam in the lake. We lived on Fine Lake, so we spent a lot of time on the lake, so it was nice. It was really nice to be in that area. But to answer your question, I think organized sports, I really didn't start playing anything until 3rd grade. I remember my buddy Nate Herbert came up to me and said, "Hey, we've got Rocket football. You should play." So you know what I did? That's when I fell in love with the sport of football. And, that led to, playing baseball. A lot of little league kids were like, "Okay, you should play baseball." So thankfully my parents signed me up for baseball, and it went from there too. And basketball didn't really start until like middle school. Coach K, Mr. K was a vivid basketball fan. Great basketball coach, high school basketball coach at the time. And he did this Saturday league, and I played basketball in the Saturday league. I don't really know if I officially signed up for it, but he let me play anyways. So it was cool to play in tournaments with them. But yeah, started at an early age, and I played every sport I could until I graduated in high school.
Okay, in high school I see you played football, you wrestled, and you played baseball. That was pretty much year round. Did you ever get a break?
A little bit. You had your off weeks between the seasons, but I played in the band too, and I was in choir, so if I wasn't going to a game for football to play, I was going either the marching in the band or, playing the pep band, which was fun. I loved playing in pep band. I remember the varsity's warm-up song when they left the locker room was always Final Countdown by Europe, which is, of course, what the Pistons used back in the day, the Bad Boys. So I still remember that opening sequence, and I think if I got out a drum set and tried it, I might be able to do it. But yeah, so there wasn't really much downtime for me, which is good because I was not in shape. So if there was any time where I was down, I was really down, and I could lose, I could gain weight and, lose any mobility that I had gained. So, which was nice. It was nice to be active, and I could really see when I graduated high school that not being active really kicked my butt. I literally jumped from like 270, 280 when I graduated to 320 in an instant. It was really, really sad. So not being active from graduating high school to going to college and working and just being stupid and doing things you shouldn't be doing definitely shows that, if you work out and do the right things and keep your body where it is, it goes a long way in the long run. Looking back 20 years later, I have so many aches and pains that if I would have just kept in shape or did this different, did that different, maybe I wouldn't be having issues with my hips. It's definitely a young man's game right now. So if you keep at it when you're young and keep on it, and you don't have to keep going through the same growing pains that you have right now when you're almost 40 years old. So
what was high school like for you?
It wasn't too bad. Everybody hates it when you're in high school, but when you get out of high school, most people want to go back. If you're an athlete, I think you always want to go back and, redo things or try to do things differently. So, as an athlete, that is definitely something I really would, probably want to go back and do. As far as a student, I think I would have done things a little bit differently, I would have challenged myself more Yeah, I would have challenged myself more and, done some more things more academically instead of just going by and like just doing the bare minimum to graduate. But I mean, I had fun doing the things that I did. I wish I would have done forensics. Mrs. Collier kept insisting that I try out, but with my schedule being as rough as it was tough to get another thing in there on top of, you know. So looking at my senior year, I had co-op, and that was a 0-hour class, so I had to come in before school, and then I'd do my couple classes that I needed to graduate. Because I only needed like 2 classes my senior year to graduate, and other than that, I would just go and then I'd go work. I worked at Viking Corporation in their accounts payable department. So I'd work and then go back to school to go back for practice, which was kind of crazy, but it happened. So having the 0-hour for that, just to do that, and then having a 0-hour for choir made things busy too. So add that on top of, going to school, working, practice, all that stuff. It made for a long evening. So
You mentioned that you'd do some things over again. Is there anything else that you'd want to do over?
actually, I would go back to middle school, to especially middle school band. There was a kid I tormented who was a grade younger than me. All fairness, I wasn't the only one. Myself and another kid kind of teamed up on him. His mom had some regular meetings with a teacher about us. We were kind of stupid back then, and did some things that you probably shouldn't. Luckily, we didn't push him too far, and he didn't do anything crazy. He just became a lawyer, and I'm waiting for some type of letter for emotional damage. But it's a good thing that I became really good friends with him later in life, and we still talk about this day, and he's a big part of my life right now too. So yeah, Ben's a lawyer now, law office of Benjamin J. Herbert. You can find him at www.bherbertlaw.com. Little free plug out to him, just so he doesn't sue me in the future for any emotional damage that I may have caused him in 8th grade. Like I said, we caused his mom to have regular meetings with a teacher. We were stupid. I'm not gonna sell out the kid who was with me in all of this, but yeah, we were stupid back then. And you know what? I guess karma did come back at me. My freshman year, I had some bully issues myself. I had a senior that constantly bullied me, and I had 2 sophomores that did too. The best part, the senior was part of our football program, and the sophomores were on my baseball team. Like I said, it made up what I did to Ben in band. I don't wish that on anybody. I guess looking back, I did deserve it. But, nowadays, it's too much. There's too much bullying, but that could be its own little podcast. It was definitely rough my freshman year. It was not fun. The senior was a lineman, and I was a lineman too, don't get me wrong, but he was a lot bigger than me and just a jerk, I wonder what he's doing with his life, but, I really don't care. I don't really hold grudges against him or anybody else. Now the 2 sophomores that were my baseball teammates, one actually better teammates, and, I think he realized what he did was wrong and kind of grew up. The other kid, I don't think he ever grew up. I don't know where he's at either. So, I really don't care. But again, to each their own. It was a part of my life that, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So if you're out there bullying somebody, be smart. How is this affecting them? Do they really deserve to be bullied? So many things that could be construed wrong or could be done wrong. You don't know what effect it's going to have on this person. So like they say, treat everybody like you want to be treated. So
now going back to football, did you have a favorite year in football in high school?
Wow, that's a tough one. I think all of them except for my junior year. Both my freshman and JV years were awesome. That group of guys were just fun to be around. Our coaching staff was amazing. Our coaches for our freshman year was Coach Adams and Coach Curtis. Definitely the type of guys you want coaching your freshman team. Same with the JV. Coach Campbell and Coach Tabor were great too. It was awesome playing for those guys too. Coach Tabor was our wrestling coach too, so I got a chance to to hang out with him later on in my career as well. He also taught me how to drive. So if you're wondering who to blame for my insanity, it was his fault. And I think the only reason I didn't like my junior year was because of what I did. I was really not prepared to play at that level. Varsity level kicked my butt. I didn't put in the work between my sophomore and junior year, and it showed that summer. I barely lifted. I barely showed up. I don't know what I was thinking. I probably got involved with some girl. They're few and far between for me, so, you get stuck up on that one girl, and, it can change a lot of things. So I didn't put a lot of work, and like I said, it showed. Everybody got bigger, stronger, and faster, and I stayed the same. I think I was bigger and stronger than most kids for JV and freshman level, but once you got up to the varsity where everybody else was big and strong, I just couldn't catch up with them. I think I knew I needed to change things for my senior season. I did. I didn't play basketball my junior year so I could wrestle. I think that changed a lot of things for me, which is good. It got me into football shape. You learned a lot of things about your body and how you can manipulate things and get better leverage. So, yeah. And again, as far as the junior season goes, a good group of our core members didn't come out for that team. For some reason. I was pretty bummed to think about it. I still am pretty bummed. I think we're all pretty bummed about it, but they had their reasons. I didn't know exactly what their reasons were until just recently, so yeah. I respect them more for doing what they did. That's a whole different podcast in its own. I think if I could get a reunion with those guys and just sit down and talk with them, that'd be awesome too. But yeah, definitely makes you think about the culture of high school football and what it does to people. So again, I respect them more for their decisions, and I don't know if I could make the decisions that they made, but they stuck with it and they did it. 20 years later, I'm talking to the same guys. They said if they could go back and do things differently, they would. But it is what it is. They did what they had to do for them, and again, I respect them for that. I apologize that happened to them. They shouldn't have to have gone through what they did when they did. Being a teenage kid being forced upon to do things that isn't cool or being treated a certain way because of something didn't go the way they wanted is pretty insane. So, but anyways, yeah. Moving on, my senior year it was tough because it was our last, and it didn't end like we wanted it to. We ended up, I think, going 3-6. And other than the 63-8 blowout against Mattawan at their homecoming, we were pretty much in all of them. And again, the coaching was great. I think all the coaches I've had shaped me into the coach I am today. That goes for Coach Blakely and Coach Walters too. I found being around good people can only make you better. So it was, you put yourself with the right group of people. Only the good things can come out of that.
Now, is there any fond memories of football?
Wow. I could tell a story for days on this. I got two real quick stories. I say quick, but it's probably going to be really long. Just kidding. The first one was during two-a-days, my JV year. I think I had too much Sunny D for breakfast, and it wasn't sitting very well. Of course, I was out of shape going into camp. Surprise, surprise. So, needless to say, I decided to puke all over the field. So, Coach Campbell, who lost his arm serving our country, grabbed my face mask with his hook and dragged me off the field, yelling at me the whole time, "You don't throw up on my field." Yep. That was pretty intense, seeing that hook coming at your face mask. He was a great guy, though. Talk about a teddy bear. Very intense, but once you got him off the field, great guy. Second story was my junior year playing on the varsity. Our defensive coordinator was Coach Greenman. He ripped me a new one because I had a green shoelace we had from our JV year. I think we did that for the Penfield game, and I never got rid of it. I just left it on there. I was cheap, I never got new cleats until my senior season. But yeah, he was a very intense person. I have another Greenman story, but that's during basketball season. I'll share that one later.
Okay, well, wait, so you played basketball too?
Yeah. My freshman and sophomore season, I hooped it up a little bit. I had no reason to be out there. I was short, fat, and slow, but I played good defense and I had really good hands. I could box out and drain the occasional three. I was definitely an 8th grade B-team all-star. Luckily, they didn't have enough people to make cuts, so I was on the team, which was fun. I played 2 years. I obviously realized it wasn't my best interest to, switch to wrestling. I would go back and probably start wrestling at a younger age, knowing what I do now. But, yeah. So the Greenman story, here we go. So they needed a freshman basketball coach, and he agreed to coach it. So it was his first year. And during a box-out drill, I didn't box anyone out. And my guy got the offensive rebound. So he stopped practice and asked me, "Who were you boxing out?" My reply, without missing a beat, was Superman. I'd never seen anyone get so mad so fast. Needless to say, he told me to start running and not to stop until he said so. So he continued with the drill, and every time I went in his eyesight, he would just chew me up the whole time as I was running by him. And then he'd go back to coaching until I came around again, and he started right back up. I saw him a few years later. He said that he had the hardest time not busting up laughing. Probably one of my favorite basketball moments.
Why didn't you want to try playing varsity basketball?
I knew it wasn't in the cards for me. I think overall, again, the game was a lot faster. I might have made it and just sat the bench, but it wasn't going to be very beneficial for me as an athlete. You know, I looked at wrestling as a chance to grow and learn a new sport. And, wrestling helped you with getting ready for football and, getting you in shape for football. So it was definitely something that I wish I would have gone and done sooner in life than later. But, so I chose wrestling, and our wrestling coach was our JV football coach, and he was in charge of the select show choir, and, he needed someone to fill the heavyweight spot, and I was there. So I filled it my junior and senior year.
Now, were you any good at wrestling?
It depends on who you ask. I was okay. I think in my senior banquet, they said I could probably start and wrestle for any other team in the KVA except for ours. I had the opportunity to wrestle with Billy Ferris. As a freshman, he took third place at state. So needless to say, I was his punching bag. I did get the opportunity to go to state with him, so I wrestled with him and prepared him for his matches at state, which was cool. Just being in that aspect and being an athlete and seeing all those great kids participating like they did. So
wrestling's a pretty intense sport. Did you ever last a full match?
I can honestly say I never lasted a full match. So a full match is 3 periods of 3 minutes each. Or 2 minutes each. I can't remember. Either way, it's 3 periods. And it was grueling. It was crazy. It was intense. You see a lot of the younger kids or a lot of the skinnier kids go the distance and win by points. Not me. Heavyweights generally didn't go that long. And if they did, it was a feat. But yeah, so I either pinned my opponent or I lost by a pin. I did not ever lose by points, and I never won by points. So, to answer your question, I never lasted a full match.
Now, there was a lot of tournaments in wrestling. What was your best finish?
I would say, I think the best I ever got was third place at Vicksburg. Again, only being my second year wrestling, I was still pretty green, so I ran up against a couple of kids that, again, hadn't wrestled before, and, one kid didn't even have wrestling shoes, so he was out there in his sneakers, so I put him down real quickly, luckily. But other than that, I beat, I believe it was Plainwell's heavyweight, and then ended up wrestling one of our other wrestlers for third place. So I did lose to the Vicksburg heavyweight, so he'd been wrestling a couple years longer than I have. But, it was fun. Third place. Probably the best place that I finished.
Now, did you have any favorite moves?
I always liked the headlock or the bear hug. They actually called it the Baird hug, which is kind of ironic. Yeah, the Baird hug was my favorite thing, just because the impact of me falling on top of somebody usually took the wind out of them, so I could get an easy pin. I know a good percentage of my pins came from the Baird hug. So it was pretty interesting to see that. It was a pretty interesting move to have. I've had it happen to me too. So I've been on the other side of it. So, but yeah.
Okay. Moving on to baseball. Since you coach this, is this your favorite?
I definitely know more about baseball than I do any other sport. I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I obsess about it a lot more than all the other sports that I'm in, which is cool. But other than that, I'll treat everything fairly. I love football. I love college basketball. Anything Michigan State. But yeah, I love watching the Lions. I love playing baseball. I love playing football. Every sport was equal to me. I think coaching baseball, the only reason I coach baseball is because I got the opportunity to. And to be honest with you, sometimes coaching high school sports is a little bit political, and I think I just found the right person. I got in the right group, and I've been doing it so far.
How did high school baseball go for you?
It was hit or miss. Going into my freshman year of baseball, I thought I was going to be a catcher, and that was a bad idea. Again, I was slow, short, and fat, so I made a wide backstop, but I wasn't very efficient. So they moved me to first base, and I did okay there. Had some errors, but it was a growing experience. I was a catcher all through Little League, so to play a different position and have to learn all over again wasn't too bad. Now, going into my sophomore season, playing first base full time, that's when it started to click for me, and that's when I started to gain the defensive prowess that I had. Again, I was short and fat, but I was good enough defensively, and I could swing the bat a little bit, so I had fun playing baseball. It wasn't too bad. I would have to say probably my favorite season of all 4 seasons were, again, my sophomore season. Just being able to, I pretty much was the only first baseman. Everybody either quit or the other guys just quit. So I don't know why they did that, but yeah, it was up to them. They wanted to do that, and that was fine. So now varsity was a different story. My junior year, I came up after having a great season on the JV. Varsity again was a little bit faster. Kids are throwing harder. I didn't quite catch up to them as fast as I wanted to, so I didn't quite make the gain as I thought I was gonna. And of course, I had a great senior ahead of me that, I believe he was all KVA. So, he deserved it. He was a really good left-handed hitter, and again, he did well for the team, and I was really glad at his success. And I got to play occasionally, but for the most part, when he pitched, I was playing first, so that was fun. But my senior year was really probably the rough season. I think getting towards the end of my high school career and my high school sports in general was not fun. Going on, knowing that you were not going to go on to the next level, you start thinking about what was out there, and you start thinking more about, what's going to happen next, and not being in the moment of everything. So, but yeah, senior season, our coach from the previous year, I don't know how this happened, but our athletic director saw us playing catch in the gym with hard baseballs, and decided to blame any damage that was in the gym on us, even though knowing full well that softball was in there doing the same exact things we were. But yeah, so he got into a little bit of trouble for it, and he ended up resigning, so we had to have 2 pretty much coaches' dads come in and coach the team. I also had a transfer from Battle Creek Central come in who played first base, so I was willing to give the starting role up to him. He'd obviously earned it and deserved it, so I sat back, and when the opportunity came to play, I played. And then, lo and behold, a couple of weeks into the season, he gets caught smoking cigarettes and gets kicked off the team. So I'm like, okay, sweet, my job to take, and I was getting ready to take it, and one of the other coach's sons wasn't doing very well in his position, and he could swing the bat better than I could, so they decided to move him to first base. I was better defensively than he was. And I think overall, the more pitching that you see, the better you can become. So, not getting regular at-bats kind of did not help me. But again, looking back, if we could go back and, I would gladly play the field if he DH'd. And I honestly am surprised that they didn't decide to do that. I know now that's what we do. If we have someone who's struggling at the plate, we just DH him. And the kids are fine with it. I was willing to do whatever it took to help the team be successful. So that was the issue with my senior year. I talked to the other coach was my best friend Ryan's dad, and Carl, love that guy. We talk every now and then about the same things. And, he regrets having that happen. He wished he could have done more about it, but he was there for me, and he's still there for me. It sucks that it happened, but again, you gain perspective and you try to learn from that. And I'd like to believe that, as a coach myself, that I wouldn't put myself in a situation where I'm going to treat an athlete the same way. So,
did it make you feel better after they named you captain at the end of the season?
Yeah, when Carl pulled me aside and he gave me that, and he said, listen, you got a bum deal out of this, but you stayed with us. You did a lot of work behind the scenes for us. We could trust you doing the scorebook. Like I said, you did a lot of good things for us. And you never complained. You never cried about anything. So we appreciate what you did. And it's nice to get that respect from him afterwards. So again, like I said, he was a really great guy. He was a really great coach. It was fun playing for him that one season that I did. So, and then it was fun playing for him. And again, baseball is about the relationships that you get. And still very close with one of my former teammates. Again, Ryan, as I said earlier, he was the best man at my wedding along with Ben. I had two. I couldn't pick, but yeah, still close with both of them. Both are doing great. I love hanging out with those two yahoos, getting together with those guys. Ben is a well-renowned lawyer, and Ryan is doing well at the facility that he's working at. We all have kids now, which is crazy. Ryan just recently had a little one. It's good to see people having kids and getting to share moments with them too. Like I said, the relationships that you build in baseball and in sports in general carry out through life. And I don't think I would be the same person if I wasn't surrounded by the people and surrounded by the teammates that I had back then.
Looking back in general, is there anything that you would do differently?
Yeah, I think earlier I said that I might not do co-op, maybe take some college classes, give me a head start in finishing my degree, or spending time my senior year just, taking it all in and not rushing to get out of there. I would rush to work and rush back, have my lunch and do all that stuff. Doing the co-op thing, it paid the bills, but was it really worth it? I didn't end up going into accounting, so I guess it kind of pushed me in the direction I wanted to. So, but yeah.
Now, what was your co-op? You said you were a co-op. What was that?
So I worked at Viking Corporation, which is in Hastings. It's about a 30-minute drive back and forth. Started out during the summer just making copies. I was the copy guy. Yeah, if anybody remembers that reference. Please don't. Yeah, I made copies during the summer, and then when that got over with, they moved me into accounts payable, and I worked with a guy named Rich Baker, which was fun to work with. We had good times. Very, very huge sports fans, so we spent a lot of time talking about sports. And I learned the accounting business. Learned all the debit need to equal all the credit. So all you accounting majors out there listening, if you don't know that, you're in rough shape. So learned a lot of other things, but it was fun. Moved up from there, did a couple other things, helped them set up their database or their new system that they changed over to. Did a lot of data entry, spent a summer doing that. So it was fun, learned a lot of things, and I think that pushed me towards what I really wanted to do. I realized that working in an office situation like that wasn't my cup of tea. So
did you work there after graduation?
Yeah, I did. I worked, like I said, a couple summers there. I worked, I think, overall 2 years between the accounts payable, accounts receivable. I worked in the literature department. Yeah, this was back when they didn't have CD-ROMs of everything. CD-ROMs were just starting to make it out there. The computer really wasn't being used for much. Internet wasn't very big back then, so they had hard copies of all their stuff. So I would spend, I'd say, 8 hours a day making their data books, going page by page by page, putting them together. So it was interesting. It's where I learned about country music. That was the only station that we could actually get in, was the local country station, so it wasn't too bad. It was ironically that I ended up working for a country radio station as well later on. So, but yeah, that made me realize office sitting like that, let's try something different, and that's when I moved towards broadcasting.
Speaking of broadcasting, what made you make the switch to broadcasting?
Like I said, I worked in an office situation, and that wasn't really my thing. So I've always liked listening to the Rick and Scott show on WGRD. And first, I think it was KLQ. Anyways, listened to them on GRD, and they had this guy by the name of Rovin Ralph, and he was out there doing stupid things. I'm like, you know what, that sounds like something fun. I kind of wanted to do that, try to be a little bit of a showmanship, get out there and have a little fun. And that's what my personality was, so I decided why not. KCC was offering that program, so I went after it.
How did you get your job at Win 98.5?
While going to KCC, I had the opportunity to take a class with Peter Tance. I think it was script writing. I can't remember exactly what class it was. But, yeah, we got an opportunity to meet, and they said they were looking for part-time help, and they got me in. So I started working there.
What kind of things did you do there?
Gosh, my first my first assignments were, or my first role was, I would come in at like 3 or 4 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and I recorded the Ron Boyd weather forecast that he would shoot over from Kalamazoo. And then at 7, I'd switch from our satellite feed to our normal feed and got the Best of the Bubba show going. And then around 8 o'clock, I would have to tape Paul Harvey back in the day. And this was back in the day before digital recording wasn't as popular, so we would go mostly reel to reel. So I was able to record it digitally, but I always had to have a backup copy on reel to reel. So I spent my time doing that. And then once that was over with, went on my way. I did that for a couple weeks. Started to gain interest in wanting to do the morning show, and again trying to be like Rovin' Ralph was on GRD and get into the morning stunt show kind of thing. And Win 98.5 had a guy by the name of Bubba. He was fun to work with. I have a lot of fun stories with him. They were looking for someone to take over for somebody, and I took the chance and I ran with it. I think I was pretty much, that was the biggest thing I can think of to do at the time. I got really popular really fast, and it was fun.
You said you had some crazy stories. What kind of crazy stories did you have? You said you were a street guy. What is a street guy?
So basically, on the morning show, I would go to anywhere that was like a high volume traffic location and just park the truck and just do crazy stuff. We planned it in advance, so it was usually something topical. There was one time where I got duct taped to a light pole just to see if I could get duct taped to a light pole. I was a human piñata, which they took prizes and they put them in a balloon and stapled them to my shirt. And so all listeners would have to do would come and hit me with a wiffle ball bat, which wasn't too bad. I mean, it stung a little bit, but I remember they got a hold of a shock collar, or dog shock collar, and we did a spelling bee contest. And needless to say, if you've ever watched me type, my spelling is awful. I will specifically use certain words or avoid certain words just so I wouldn't have to spell them. So it was very shocking, to say the least. But yeah, Bubba ended up moving to Ann Arbor. He's on W4 Country in Ann Arbor, and he's very successful out there. I stayed around, and I kind of lost where I fit. I didn't fit in anymore, so things came around. I needed an opportunity to make more money, and I jumped ship to Systex and was there for the past 15 years, and now I'm where I'm at Echo Lake High School. So, yep, it was fun. I look back at those days, and, I don't regret anything I did back then. I wish it would have ended differently, but, who doesn't? So I had fun. I had a lot of memories. I wish I had all the pictures. I had pictures with Kenny Chesney, Rascal Flatts, Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers, by the way, spent the whole time calling me Jeff, even though my name tag said Jack and my shirt said Jack. But, I didn't correct him because, he is Kenny Rogers, so you don't correct Kenny Rogers. So,
you ever thought about going back?
I'm actually kind of back in somewhat of a limited role. I do, on occasion, will go out if they want somebody who's, you have like the A team, the B team, and the C team. If they're not available, they'll call me, and I'll go out and do anything they want me to do. I think the last time I was down in Coldwater for Ice Fest, getting them ready for Ice Fest, so it was fun. I got to do the Mile of Lights at Michigan International Speedway, so that was fun. I did the turkey bowling. So, I'm slowly getting myself back into broadcasting. Once you're out for a while, it takes a little bit to get used to it. So
what was it like going from broadcasting to have a real job?
It was a tough thing to do, going back to actually being a physical laborer. Kind of, it sucked, but I got over it. I mean, I did it for 15 years, so I mean, my body's a little worse for wear, but I had to do what I could to do to provide for my family, and I didn't look back, and I went with it. So it was fun to be in broadcasting. It's fun to be out there. I guess I'm a little bit of a narcissist, so hearing my own voice and trying to be popular again is what I'm trying to do. I guess that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to start a podcast. I want to be a little bit famous again. I want to get my voice out there again. I want this to blow up, but I do realize I'm not the star of the show. I want to make sure that the spotlight's on the athletes and get their story out. But if it does mean I get a little recognition, why not?
Now, how did you get involved in coaching?
So I was playing church basketball with Coach Walters and Ryan, my buddy Ryan. And Ryan had coached the previous year, and he couldn't coach for some reason. Something with his work schedule, he couldn't coach this year, and Reggie needed another assistant, so I offered my services, and that was 2007, which was cool. It was a Florida year, so I got to go to Florida. First time coaching, I go down to Florida with a bunch of crazy misfit kids, and it was a blast. I haven't looked back ever since. So, yeah, he asked me to coach, and I went with it. Ironically, I tried to get in coaching at Delton Kellogg a couple years earlier, but I couldn't make any contacts with the coaches. So.
Now, 12 years, that's a pretty long time. Are you surprised that you've lasted this long?
Yes and no. I mean, it's been kind of difficult having a kid and balancing all the things that we did. It was great to have the opportunity to head coach the freshman team, which was cool. But again, having kids puts a little stress on you. And having a kid with special needs is a little different story too. So I was thankful that Coach Blakely pulled me aside and said, "Hey, if you want to be just part-time and step down from being a freshman coach, come join me. I need some help." And I'm glad that I made that move. Being around Coach Blakely, it was a great experience. So.
Now, was there any fond memories that you had?
Again, being around Coach Blakely was awesome. Getting to see his son Drew grow up like he did, being around when he was there, was great. Being part of their last game and being part of his 500th win. Funny story, he was all set on not having a big deal about his 500th win. And he told us the story that there was another coach that he coached against. When they received their 500th win, they stopped the game and they brought out cake and they had a big celebration for him. And I asked, "Do you want to do that too?" He's like, "Heck no." He's like, it was good for him, but I don't want that. Let's just play the game. So after his 500th win, I pulled him aside. He said, "I would not feel comfortable unless I did something. I wanted to get you a cake." So I pulled out of my pocket a little Hostess baseball cake that they had. He enjoyed it. He thought it was funny. So, but yeah, being part of Coach Blakely's last game, Drew's last season, the run that we had, making it to the state semifinals, 2014, and then doing it again. So the run that we had in 2011, making it to the state semifinals, and then making it at Michigan State the first year that they had it in 2014, that was great too. Seeing a lot of kids that did have talent, and then they weren't idiots and they weren't jerks. So being able to see Zach Fish break the home run record, that was cool too. 24 home runs in one season. I don't think anybody's going to ever come close to that. Another fond memory is just a recent one that I just had. I was awarded the Assistant Coach of the Year by the Michigan State High School Baseball Coaches Association. It was awesome. Just to have that honor. I have the plaque hanging up on my mantle as we speak. So just being an honor of being in the same mention as some of the other coaches that have won it. No, I first learned about it when Doug Hoover, one of Blakely's best friends, he won it for Gull Lake a couple years back. So as soon as I knew that was available, any chance I had the opportunity to win it, I kind of nudged Coach Walters or nudged Coach Blake. "Hey, here's the application. You wanna fill it out?" So I had the opportunity of winning it, and thank you, Coach Walters, for putting in the time to fill out the form. And it was a good experience. So I also like being a kid and being around those kids. It brings me back memories of growing up when all you cared about was baseball and playing a game. Getting back to that is fun. Being immature, being stupid, it's fun. And it's great to be around kids that share the same interests as you do. And it's something that you can relate to. Kids these days, it's tough to relate to what they're into. I'm not a huge Fortnite fan, so I have no idea what they're talking about. I don't have Snapchat. I don't have Instagram. I don't have all these things that they talk about. I do have baseball, and it's a shared experience that hopefully they're learning from me as much as I'm learning from them.
Now, what's next? What's next on your agenda?
I don't know. I'm trying to get this podcast off the ground. I started it in hopes of getting the voice out of all these local talents that we have. There's a lot of kids out there that are doing tremendous things. And there's a lot of former athletes out there that are still doing things too that are great. Kind of get their retrospect on things and how they made it where they are. So getting this podcast going has been a dream of mine for a while. And once I knew what a podcast was, I felt that this is something I could do. So hopefully, I think I'm doing a very good job doing it. I haven't heard any complaints yet, other than my wife, with all the time I spend doing it. So I have headphones, so she doesn't have to hear me edit it, so that's good. So,
speaking of your podcast, who's been your favorite guest?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think all of them have been really great. The fact that they took time out of their schedule to sit down and talk with me for an hour plus Some went longer than others, but getting a chance to talk to them about what they're doing and how they did it and how they made it has been hopefully what I believe is a roadmap for all the kids that listen to this podcast. If you do great things, you're able to do more great things. So look at it as like I said, a roadmap of how to get to a good place in life. So not just sports related, but as a student athlete as well. So I can't really say that I have any really favorites. So, but again, like I said, I thank you to all those who have taken their time out to do this for me. They didn't have to. They could have just said no. I've had a couple people that just said no. They don't want to deal with the media right now, or they don't want to deal with media anymore. So it's kind of a kick in the teeth. But, it's their prerogative. They want to do what they want to do. So again, I've been fortunate to have a lot of people come up and say they were willing to do it. So I've got a couple of guests next couple of weeks that should be pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to that. But in essence, too, though, I do feel kind of bad. I feel like I might have jinxed a couple of people. Tommy Henry's had a couple of rough outings since our podcast debuted. And I talked with Minkness last week, and of course now the Pacers are out of the playoffs. So I guess it means that he's coming up here and he's in the off season now. But still, I feel a little bit responsible that, like the curse of the Madden cover, whoever's on the Madden cover gets injured the next season. So hopefully we can reverse the curse and keep it going. Trent seems to be doing very well for himself, keeps hitting bombs left and right. So other than that, again, this has been a fun podcast, and I'll keep doing it if you guys keep listening. So we'll keep moving forward from there.
Now it's time for the fun segment of our show. It's a chance to get to know the other side of Jack Baird. Is there any special talents that most people don't know you possess?
I'm really good at making people feel awkward. I think I recently filled that out in a survey. It asked for special talents, and I was just messing around and just put, making people feel awkward. So I can play 12 different instruments. I think that's kind of neat. Now, putting it in a different perspective, the 12 instruments are all percussion instruments. I know it sounds better by just saying 12 different instruments, but yeah, they're different-ish. So, but yeah. I can sing, too. Not a lead singer. I'd rather sing backup.
If they made a Jack Baird biopic, who would you want playing you?
I always feel like I'm getting typecast in this one. I'm going to say, I would honestly say Josh Peck before he lost all the weight that he did. Maybe Chris Farley, if he was still around. I would say Chris Farley at his prime. And then maybe Jack Black, Bert Kreischer, who's one of the reasons I got into podcasting, listening to him, and Joe Rogan. Shout out to those guys. If you're ever listening, check those podcasts out. They're not clean like mine is, but be ready to hear some crazy words. But anyways, yeah, getting back to the original question, I would say, Kevin James maybe. I don't know. There isn't really any funny fat guys right now that I can think of. I don't know. That's a tough one,
If you had any superpowers, what would they be?
I got to go with flying. I hate traffic. I'm getting sick of driving. I'd go almost like teleportation, but again, like Minkness said last week, I'm not really comfortable with your body like just disintegrating and then reappearing. Where flying, you have the physical state of being able to be a complete body and not have any weird craziness. All I can imagine is just the scene from Fly when Jeff Goldblum becomes a fly. The whole premise itself. That's possible, start transportating like that. You never know what's going to happen. So I don't want to get into any weird theories on that, but still, flying. Let's keep it simple, flying.
If you could meet any celebrity, who would it be and why?
I've met a lot of celebrities, and I didn't really geek out that much to them. I think I would say probably a pro athlete. If I could meet a pro athlete, I think any pro athlete would be awesome. And of course, my all-time favorite is probably going to be, if I can meet anybody, it's going to be Tom Izzo. I'm a huge Tom Izzo fan. Mark D'Antonio, the culture that they're creating up there is just a winning culture, and it's just being able to meet them would be awesome. So, if anybody knows a way that I can meet Tom Izzo without having to pay $400 for a ticket to his charity golf outing that's coming up, let me know. If they got the hookup, I'll definitely take full advantage of that.
First celebrity crush.
I'm going to have to go with, I was a huge Full House fan. And the fact that they're back at the Fuller House is awesome. So I wasn't really a DJ. DJ was a little bit older for me. So I was a Stephanie. I'm definitely a Stephanie, a Jodie Sweetin kind of guy. So she was very, very, very good on the eyes back in the day. So yeah, she's not too bad herself right now. I like checking out the new episodes, but yeah, definitely that kind of direction. Huge fan of Alyssa DeHaan. She was a 6'9" center for Michigan State. Like the tall girls, I guess. Taylor Swift, she's pretty tall, but yeah. My wife said I didn't really like her until I realized she was that tall, so it was well before that.
All right, that was kind of awkward. Any guilty pleasure songs? You know, songs on your playlist that you don't want people to know about, or songs that you might be embarrassed that people see that you like?
Lately, I've been on the kick of musicals. You know, I loved watching Glee. I have a lot of Glee songs on my iPad, or in my playlist, I should say. And between Glee, you know, I've got the Greatest Showman soundtrack. That's an awesome one. Hugh Jackman is like the beast. Wolverine, and he can sing. I mean, come on now. That's a musical in itself right there. So that's another thing, you know. You know, a lot of people do make fun of it, but, you know, to each their own. I like to say I'm a little bit more cultured than other people, so.
Same thing with movies or TV shows. Is there anything you binge watch that cause some mockery?
You know, like, honestly, I always say The Bachelor. That's always been a big thing in the household. Sucks that it's off now, but the next season's going to come up pretty soon. And I don't know if you're familiar with Married at First Sight. That was pretty interesting. They get I think it was 4 couples. They meet for the first time on their wedding day. They use a computer to match them up. Some professional does it.
I think,
if I remember correctly, this season they had like two wanted to stay together and 2 ended up getting divorced. So, but yeah, I don't know. You ever watch that show?
I honestly, you know, I've never seen it, so I'll have to check out next season and see how it goes. Now, did you have any pregame playlists or, you know, songs that pump you up?
Not really. Not really a big music fan to pump me up. I usually use music to calm me down, so I'm more of a mellow type person. I do remember watching hit films before football and getting us ready that way, but I wasn't really into that. I always kind of catch some Z's while we did that, so slept a little bit while that happened. So I had my own way of preparing for games. Just mentally getting me prepared was the way it was. I didn't need any pump-up music or any hit films to get me going. It just came naturally.
Now, was there any weird pregame rituals or routines that you had?
Not really. I think my sophomore year, my JV year, I ended up, for football, my JV year, I was always carrying around the same piece of tape. Like I had the same roll of tape with me every pregame. I don't know why I had it, but it was something that I always had. And, you know, I never really taped my wrist or taped my ankles with it, so I just carried it around. Probably thought I was weird just carrying it around, so.
All right, Gatorade or Powerade?
Honestly, you know, I'd have to say there's a lot of times where I would just go with Powerade. Powerade was a choice of the time. You know, they had a little bit different flavors, and I think mostly because they came out with the Powerade Zero, being diabetic, not getting all that sugar that Gatorade had is definitely the choice for me, so I went with Powerade. Now that they have Gatorade Zero, that's changed some things, so I kind of flip-flop back and forth, but overall I try to stick with Powerade.
Was there any specific flavor?
Starting out, you know, you had the grape. Grape was always good. I liked I think it was like the sweet melon or the Arctic white cherry, I believe. Something a little bit sweeter. Definitely out of the normal flavors that they had. So.
Are you a seeds or a gum guy?
It depends. I would switch back and forth, honestly. I would carry 2 packs of gum in my back pocket, and I would chew that on occasion. Mostly a seeds guy, I guess. Gotta love the sizzling bacon, Hidden Valley Ranch. Get a little mixture of both going on at the same time. I did try dill pickle. I am not a fan of that, so please stop asking me to try it. I will not.
Nike or Adidas?
Stripes before checks on this one. I'm a huge Adidas fan. I'm glad that our school, I'm glad Gull Lake went to Adidas and got them to make all of our uniforms. So it was nice to see Adidas on everything, you know. I do like Nike dry fits, don't get me wrong, and everything that's Michigan State, of course, is Nike. But, you know, Adidas was my go-to for the longest time. I bought one of my favorite pairs of shoes were Adidas T-Max. You know, they were bright blue, and they were awesome.
PS4 or Xbox?
Definitely PS4. Xbox, their controller is a little bit funky. I broke my thumb playing baseball. I don't have quite the mobility that I want with it. Having the PS4 controller is a lot easier to use. So plus you got MLB The Show on PS4. So Xbox hasn't come up with anything like that. So I kind of stick with that.
Favorite food?
all kinds of food, I guess. I mean, I don't really have a favorite. As long as it's not like, I'm not a big lettuce or tomato guy, so for the most part, I'll tend to eat like a chicken. I'll get a chicken breast, cheese. I'd probably prefer chicken over steak. But other than that, if it's done right, if it's cooked right, I'll eat it. Again, no lettuce, no tomato, no onions, no healthy stuff. Had a lot of bad experiences with that stuff, so, but yeah.
If you could change your name, what would your new name be and why?
I've said this before. I love anytime I have an alias or anytime that I go to a wedding, I would always put Steve Perry. Huge Journey fan. I don't know why I started doing it. Again, just trying to be different and funny, try to create a memory for everybody else and something for them to laugh at. I like to make people laugh, and I think that was my goal always, is to make people laugh. So I thought they would get a kick out of seeing Steve Perry's name on there. But yeah, if I could change my name, it'd be Steve Perry. And occasionally I will give that name to the hostess of a restaurant, saying, what name, and I put Steve Perry, knowing full well they have no clue who that is. So.
All right. If there's any place you could travel, where would it be?
I think I would really, Baird is of Scottish descent, so I think if I could travel to Scotland, I would. I definitely want to take my father-in-law. He went over there when he was in high school, and he loved it. He does nothing but talk about it. So if I get a chance to go with him before it's too late, that'd be awesome. I guess I'd like to travel to Hawaii too. Definitely somewhere where I have to be on a plane for more than 5 hours, just because I like flying. It's definitely a different experience. So,
what is your favorite meal to cook when you're by yourself?
I'm always a big fan of, if it's breakfast, I'll throw cereal. Cereal's easy. Occasional oatmeal. But my favorite thing to cook probably is for Jennifer and I. She loves it when I make my scrambled eggs with cheese. Or I should say my cheesy eggs. More cheese than eggs. It's fun. It's easy to make. I like it. It's good. And it's a good protein. So.
First car?
My first car was a 1989 Ford Escort. It was a nice little beast. Got me from point A to point B, which is awesome.
That's weird. My first car was a 1989 Ford Escort too. What color was it?
Mine was burgundy.
No way. Get out of here. Mine was burgundy too. That's crazy. It's weird how things like that happen. Whew. Kind of eerie that we had the same thing going on there. All right, finally, this part is my favorite. Hopefully it's going to be as successful as it was like last week. Steve did a very good job. I'll be giving you clues about famous people named Jack. We're going to find out how well you know Jack. Like I said, it's been hit or miss, so let's hope we pick the right ones for you this time. Number 1, name the Jack. Kiefer Sutherland played this Jack on the hit show 24. Name that Jack.
I'm not familiar with the show, but I know it is Jack Bauer, I believe his name was. Again, not a big fan, didn't really watch it. I loved Kiefer in The Lost Boys, both Young Gun movies. His recent one, he was the designated survivor. I was sad to see that show go. To each their own. I realize if I like a television show, they're going to cancel it, so that's why I try not to like shows until it's 4 or 5 seasons in, and then I can binge watch it as much as I can before it's too late.
All right, 1 for 1. Here we go. Number 2, this Jack could eat no fat, and his wife could eat no lean. Name that Jack.
Oh, that was the only thing I hated about being named Jack, was all the stupid nursery rhymes. You got Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack Sprat. It's Jack Sprat could eat no fat, and his wife could eat no lean. You got Jack and Jill. Just a lot of stupid stuff that goes with being named Jack. But yeah, Jack Sprat would be your answer.
Nice. Okay, moving on. Number 3. You're 2 for 2. Let's see. Number 3. This Jack is number 42, retired by every Major League Baseball team. Name the Jack.
It was actually Jackie Robinson, to be technical. Yeah. Number 42, great movie. Yeah, Jackie Robinson played with the Brooklyn Dodgers.
First African American
to play Major League Baseball. So definitely a great story with him and breaking down the color barrier in baseball. So.
All right, you're 3 for 3. All right, going on to question number 4. This Jack starred alongside Tom Cruise, Demi Moore, and Kevin Pollak in the blockbuster hit A Few Good Men. Name that Jack.
You can't handle the truth. That was a poor Jack Nicholson impression. Wow, impressions are not my strong suits. So, as a special talent, impressions, not one of them. So yeah, to answer your question, Jack Nicholson.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's 4 for 4. You are batting 1,000. Good job. So far, you're doing the best. Can we make it 5 for 5? You ready for this? Going 5 for 5. Here we go. Finally, to stay perfect, number 5. This Jack is a member of the group Tenacious D. Name that Jack.
Ooh, Jack White. Oh, great. Shoot. Oh, wait. It's not Jack White. Hold on. Shoot. Dang it. No, it's not Jack White. It's Jack Black, isn't it? Oh, shoot. I knew it. Darn it.
Oh, you blew it. You're so close. Yeah, you're right. It's Jack Black. Definitely not Jack White. Jack White is the lead singer of the White Stripes.
Oh, I knew that too. Man, I got cocky. I went too fast. Oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, sheesh. I was so close too, man. To go 5 for 5, that was going to be huge. I haven't batted this well since I played my Road to the Show character, who's hit 245 home runs in 30 games. I cheated a little bit, but it's okay.
Oh, well, that went a lot better than I thought. It's like you had the answers right in front of you, or as if you even made the questions up yourself. So I guess you really do know Jack. Well, that's it. Before you go, is there anything you wanna say or talk about before you go? Give any special shout-outs out there?
Yeah, I want to thank my wife, Jennifer, and my daughter, Jane, for giving me the opportunity to do this. They've been very patient with me, even allowing me to coach baseball. It's been a rough schedule, and it's tough to keep priority of families first. And again, I want to thank Gull Lake High School for giving me the opportunity to coach baseball and being as flexible as they are with my schedule. So, yeah, that's been awesome to have. I want to thank my parents for giving me the opportunity to pursue sports in the way they did. And all the times they drove me to my practices, times they drove me to games, paying for new stuff, and new glove, new bats, new this, new that. So, they obviously gave me the opportunity to be successful and took advantage of it. So I learned a lot from them, and I thank them for everything that they've given me. Again, I want to thank Gull Lake High School for letting me be part of their program. And I want to thank Coach Blakely and Coach Walters for sticking their neck out for me and giving me a chance to be the person I am. So I believe I have made it difficult for them, just my unique personality, but they've stuck with me, and it's been great to be a part of this ride. I also want to thank everyone who's been in the Baird Cave with me before this. You guys have made this a special treat. Being able to talk to you guys has just been outstanding. Learning from everybody, learning their stories, getting to know them personally, seeing the other side of these athletes, just showing the world what great kids there are out there. There's a lot of great kids, a lot of great youth out there that are more than just baseball players, more than just football players, more than just athletes. They're doing great things in their community. They're becoming role models for others to pick up where they're leaving off, moving forward, and giving the generation something to look forward to. So hopefully all you kids are out here listening, seeing what kind of examples these kids are, and moving forward with them.
Awesome. Again, thanks for being part of my show. It's been a blast. Good luck this season at Gull Lake. Hopefully we get to get you in maybe later on, see what else is going on.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to be on again and again. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast, and obviously you can find somebody better to fill this spot, but I'm more than willing to step in when it needs to be and take on the challenge. So again, thank you so much.
All right, that's number 11 in the books. Thanks again for Jack for joining me in the Baird Cave. It was awesome to have him be part of the show. I hope you had as much fun as I did. I know this was a little bit different. I just thought it'd be funny to interview myself. Why not? So if you're still listening, thank you for putting up with all this nonsense. If you can think of someone else that might be a better fit for this show, please let me know. I only did this because there was a few scheduling conflicts that came up, and I needed to fill a spot real quick, and why not have a little fun with myself? Fill it in with myself. You get a little chance to hear more about me. I've got plenty of stories. This is just the tip of the iceberg of stories that I have. I've had a great career at Gull Lake. I have a great career at Delton Kellogg High School. It's been nothing but fun. So again, hopefully I can keep making these podcasts and showing the student athletes out there how awesome they are too. So please subscribe, follow, share, like all those fun things. Check out the Baird Necessities. Check out previous episodes too. You can find the Baird Necessities on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and recently YouTube. I've added that to the flow, so you can follow me on Twitter at the Baird NEC. Please send me some email. If there's something I'm missing, let me know. Drop me an email at thebairdnec@gmail.com. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. Heck, tell anybody you want to. I'll take anybody. Join me next week, the same Baird time, same Baird channel. It's Coach Baird, and you've been listening to the Baird Necessities. Good night.